When Sarah decided to take a solo vacation to clear her head after a long, stressful breakup, she thought, booking a cozy Airbnb cabin in the mountains would be the perfect escape. The listing showed a warm wooden cabin surrounded by pine trees, an isolated paradise with a glowing fireplace and scenic views. The reviews seemed great, though a few mentioned strange noises at night, which she brushed off as wildlife. The drive there was peaceful but eerily quiet, no cell signal. No nearby houses, just endless forest roads winding deeper into nowhere. As she pulled up, the place looked exactly like the pictures, but something felt off. The air was heavier, quieter than normal, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. She met the host, an older man named Daniel, who was friendly yet oddly insistent about one thing. "Don't go near the basement door," he said with a strained smile. "It's just storage." Sarah laughed it off and agreed, though his warning stayed in the back of her mind. That first night, after unpacking and making herself tea, she sat by the fire scrolling through downloaded podcasts. Around midnight, a soft creak echoed from the floorboards. She froze. Then came another, and another, slow footsteps moving beneath the cabin. She tried to rationalize, probably pipes or animals. But when the basement door handle jiggled slightly, her heart stopped. She stared at the door for what felt like hours until everything went silent again. The next morning, she confronted Daniel via text, asking if anyone else was staying there. He replied hours later, saying he hadn't been to the property since she checked in. That night, determined not to be spooked again, she locked her room door. Around 2 a.m., she woke to the sound of humming, a low, human humming right beneath her floor. It went on for minutes, then turned into a faint whisper she couldn't understand. Grabbing her flashlight, she walked trembling toward the basement door. The air grew colder as she got closer. Then suddenly, from the crack under the door, a faint beam of light flickered, like someone was standing down there with a candle. She bolted back to her room, heart racing, and barricaded the door until morning. At dawn, she decided to pack up and leave. But before going, curiosity got the better of her. She opened the basement door just a few inches. The smell hit first, damp and foul like rotting wood and something metallic. She shined her light and saw stairs leading down into darkness. On the wall at the bottom, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. Handprints. Small, dirty handprints smeared across the wood. She slammed the door shut and ran to her car. As she reversed out, she saw Daniel standing at the tree line watching her. His expression was blank. She sped off, tears in her eyes, refusing to look back. 2 weeks later, she reported the listing to Airbnb, but when investigators checked the cabin, Daniel had vanished. Inside the basement, they found 3 small mattresses, chains bolted to the wall, and children's shoes scattered across the floor. The account hosting the listing was deleted the next day. Sarah never took another solo trip. Again, and she warns everyone she meets to always read the entire listing and never ignore their gut. Tom and Lena were a young couple who loved road trips. One summer, they planned a weekend getaway and booked a cheap Airbnb farmhouse on the outskirts of a small town. The pictures showed rustic charm, wooden beams, old furniture, and wide fields. When they arrived, however, the place looked older than the photos. The windows were cracked, the grass uncut, and the house had an unsettling stillness to it. The host, an elderly woman named Marjorie, greeted them warmly but avoided eye contact. "You two be sure to lock the doors at night," she said softly. "Especially the back one." That night, after a long drive, they both fell asleep easily. Around 1 a.m., Lena woke to what sounded like someone walking outside the house. Slow, deliberate footsteps on the gravel. She woke Tom, who brushed it off, saying maybe it was an animal. But when they heard the back door creak open, Tom jumped up, grabbed a flashlight, and went to check. The door was wide open. The padlock lay broken on the floor. They searched the yard but found nothing. Feeling uneasy, they locked every window, every door, and went back to bed. At around 3:30, Lena heard a faint scratching sound near the foot of their bed. She sat up, shining her phone light, and froze. The attic hatch above the bed was slightly open. Tom climbed on a chair and pushed it up, shining his flashlight inside. Dust floated in the beam. But there was something else, too, an old photograph lying at the edge. It showed Marjorie, much younger, standing with a man and 3 children. The strange part? The children's faces were crudely scratched out. The next morning, they asked Marjorie about the photo. Her face turned pale. "You shouldn't have gone up there," she whispered. "They don't like strangers." Before they could ask more, she hurried into her car and drove away. Confused, they decided to pack up and leave early, but the car wouldn't start. Tom lifted the hood, only to realize someone had cut the fuel line clean through. Panic set in. They were stranded. As night fell, the house grew colder. The sound of footsteps began again, this time inside the house. Lena clutched Tom's arm and they backed into the living room, every shadow feeling alive. The footsteps grew louder coming from the stairs. When Tom shined the flashlight, the beam caught a small figure at the top, then another. Pale children, faces emotionless, watching them silently. They turned and ran for the back door. But standing there in the doorway was Marjorie, her eyes wide, trembling. "You shouldn't have come back," she said in a cracked voice. "They get angry when guests leave early." The lights flickered and went out. Screams echoed through the house. The next morning, police found the couple's rental car abandoned on the roadside. Miles away, but no trace of Tom or Lena was ever found. The farmhouse was later demolished after reports of trespassers hearing children's laughter and seeing lights flicker from its ruins. Many Airbnb guests trust that the places they rent are safe havens. But as these stories show, sometimes what hides behind those walls is darker than anything you can imagine. So next time you book a stay, check the reviews, trust your instincts, and maybe, just maybe, sleep with one eye open. And before you go, if these disturbing tales sent chills down your spine, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It helps the channel grow and lets us bring you even more terrifying, true stories every week. Stay safe and never assume you're truly alone in your Airbnb.